Breaking news in the Ola mom and dad case of missing baby Emmanuel. Mom and dad have been arrested. Mom and dad have been taken into custody. Official word just coming down moments ago from the San Bernardino Sheriff's Office. So Rebecca and Jake Haro, the parents of this 7-month-old, have been taken into custody and are now under arrest. There is a huge presence at the home. The search is taking place. I presume more evidence is being gathered. The status of where is a baby Emmanuel, still working on that. But this is the big breaking news this morning coming to us out of California, that Ola mom and dad, Jake and Rebecca Haro, the parents of little baby Emmanuel, under arrest. I'm Vinnie Politan, lead anchor for Court TV, along with Al Wunsch III.
Hola, Tanginistas.
And the radio legend, Jonesy.
Greetings from Asbury Park, New Jersey.
And this is a special early breaking news edition of what we do each and every week here on my channel, which is called the One Moment, Please. Can you tell I am shuffling right now? Can you tell that I am shuffling because this is breaking? Everything's happening very quickly here.
Well, every broadcaster has their own way of buying time before they answer a question. We all do that. So I don't think people really notice.
This is the Tangent Podcast.
It's Vinnie and the Tangents. True Crime Podcast. Vinny has the blue eyes, Al cracks the jokes. Jonesy stays behind his shades, entertaining all the folks. It's Vinny and the Tangents. True Crime Podcast. Load up all your comments, hit those super chats. Let's go smash that like button so we can all have a blast. Vinny, Al, and Jonesy on the job. They're the Sugar Hill Gang of true crime. They're telling stories of days gone by. They take crime and turn into a good old time. It's Vinny and the Tangents, True Crime Podcast.
Get ready. It's Friday. Unbelievably, just moments before we were preparing to get on, we've got this huge breaking news that Ola mom and dad are under arrest. Al, your initial reaction?
It makes sense to me. I mean, Tuesday they seized the vehicle. Father lawyered up. I mean, all those things say to me immediately that there's something that's coming down the pike. There's too many inconsistencies with regards to this story. It didn't make any sense. I mean, if a woman had been knocked out in the parking lot of the Big Five, okay, no one saw her on the ground. No one saw there was a car door open. No one saw anything going on there that was untoward. Doesn't make sense from the beginning. The fact that she shut up, would not take a lie detector test, yet is supposed to be concerned about where her 7-month-old child is. Very, very tragic. And I mean, the name Emmanuel is Hebrew, and it means God with us. And I just hope that child is with God. I mean, because what a horrendous situation that this poor little boy has gone through. It's just horrible.
Okay, we don't know the official charges yet, but we might be able to read between the lines here from the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. This morning, and again, this was just posted like 3 minutes ago, detectives from the Sheriff's Homicide Detail and Specialized Enforcement Division arrested Jake and Rebecca Haro at their residence in Cabazon for PC 187. Oh, they did. They have. It's officially they're charged with red rum.
Murder. Yeah,
with red rum.
Red rum.
Investigators will continue their search for 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro. Yeah, I didn't see the little punctuation at the end there when I first looked at it. So PC 187. So they're going all in that the parents are responsible. They are also here saying that the child is no longer alive.
Right.
So to me, that's the big development here. What evidence do they have that the child is not alive other than lack of proof of life, right? You need something more than the child just being missing to turn this into a homicide case and a red rum case.
Especially with the fact that they had some sort of, alleged sightings a couple of counties away, and that they did look into those sightings, and apparently there was nothing that was gleaned from it that turned out to be accurate. So, this is proof positive that they believe red rum has occurred, and they believe that little Emmanuel is no longer with us.
Isn't that the definition of habeas corpus?
Or what?
I thought habeas corpus was
That's corpus delicti.
corpus delicti.
Corpus delicti is the body.
I heard habeas corpus on a Marx Brothers movie.
Habeas.
What does that actually mean?
Corpus. Now, let me read the rest of what the sheriff posted here. Investigators will continue their search for 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro. So they have not found the child, but they have charged red rum. Okay. To me, that is the big headline right now at this moment, right?
Right.
They have charged red rum, but have not found the baby yet. So there must be some evidence of foul play connected to the child. In some respect, it could be in the form of testimony. Could it be enough? Let me ask you, Al, because this is what everyone's thinking now. Because they had a story, right? That's why we call them Hola, Mom and Dad. That
Correct.
A man came up behind her while she's changing the diaper in the parking lot of the Big Five, says Hola, and then knocks her out cold and takes the baby. Right. So if they were able to prove definitively that that is a lie, is that enough, do you believe, to arrest for red rum, right? So they don't have the child, but they have, say they've been able to definitively prove that that was just an outright lie. Because many times they'll charge false reporting initially just to get them into custody.
Right. And make them persons of interest.
Right.
That would not necessarily be, that would not be enough. It clearly wouldn't be enough to say that there was a red rum situation. That would not be enough. So there's something else. The fact that the car was taken, that's where I think they've got evidence.
Also the phones were seized and passwords were given up. According to his lawyer, Vincent Hughes, and he only represents Jake because the interests of these two are going to be vastly different as we reach this point. But Vincent Hughes jumps in and says that they voluntarily gave up their phones, but I think it was part of the warrant anyway, but also gave their passwords up, which you don't have to do.
Correct. But the situation at that point, there's something else that ties them that has been discovered that we're not aware of. And as I said, I really do think it's going to be attached to the car that was picked up. There must be some DNA. There must be some, blood evidence or something along those lines that's giving them the feeling, or even the fact that maybe the cadaver dogs had, hit something that they smelled in there that would say that there had been a body there. So there's something a little bit more. The phones, I don't even know if the phones necessarily would be enough, depending on what they find on that. But certainly if there was something in the car, that would be enough to get the warrant to go forward for the red rum. But I just want to address what Jonesy said. Jonesy, habeas corpus, it does deal with body. It means you have the body, but that does not mean this. Okay. It means that if somebody is in jail unlawfully, they can be brought to the court, for a petition or a writ, to be heard as to why they should not be released. So it doesn't necessarily mean what you thought it was going to be.
So it's kind of the opposite of what I thought.
Corpus delicti is that that's more the body.
That's what I get for learning things from Marx Brothers movies.
I don't, and as a Marx Brothers fan, and I've seen every one of their movies and know all their routines, I don't even remember when habeas corpus was even mentioned in one movie. But that, I now I'm going to have to look that up.
I might be wrong about that too.
Yeah.
I'm having a bad day.
So what I'm looking up to see what if the Riverside County Sheriff is saying anything about this, but the Riverside is not, because I know they're right on the border of those two different counties and they often work together. And I think they have worked together on this particular case, but it looks like San Bernardino is taking the lead on it. because they began the investigation because Yucaipa is clearly in San Bernardino County, but the home must be also in San Bernardino, I think, or it might be right on the border. Now, if you look at the photo that I have up here, I'm going to make it larger. This is a photo from this morning at the time of the arrest, and you can see the presence that they have there, and it looks like they're out in the yard. So as you search for this 7-month-old, this is the next challenge here, you know, because I don't think we know the time frame of when the alleged homicide took place.
Correct. We don't.
Because you can't go by the time frame of when they report the child missing, because there have been reports out there that they were sniffing around. Mom and dad were at the Big Five, perhaps as many as weeks before all of this. So to me, a big part of gathering that timeline is trying to understand the last time anyone other than mom and dad saw the child, or there's a photograph of the child. And to me, that's a big part of putting together the timeline in all this, because just because they report the child missing on a day, that's not, to me, that's likely not the day that baby Emmanuel, something happened to baby Emmanuel. It could be a day before, it could be weeks before. And it all depends upon what other family members might say or might not say, and what sort of pictures. Like if you have a baby, you take pictures all the time, but not if your parents like this.
Well, all right. Can we examine the pedigree of both of these parents? I mean, the mother had a brother who is doing 50 years to life for the red rum of his girlfriend, that he set it up to make it look like it was a suicide, and was then convicted. And then we have the father, who has basically admitted to mistreatment of children, child abuse.
Yeah, of a baby, a 10-week-old baby.
Correct.
Like, that's insanity to me. I mean, 10 weeks old. What are we talking about here, people?
So I mean, we have a petri dish of just like disdain with these two people. It's just horrific.
Now, Mama Risa posting, "Hola, mom is caught on video tossing a black bag in the green garbage can." That's, you know, obviously that's places where you look. We've covered cases like in Georgia of that little boy who went missing. They actually were able to recover remains from a landfill. It was a massive search, and unbelievably, they were able to do that. It's difficult when babies go missing. They're tiny. Time is a huge factor in all of that. And if you just look, thanks so much, Mama Risa, by the way. If you look at this photo, you can see the type of place, Jonesy, where they live. This is desert. It's like a desert valley between two mountains. There's no bodies of water. Usually we're, thinking about water searches. This is desert, coyotes. They happen to have some land themselves, but if you have time, you could go anywhere. If this child, if something happened weeks ago, the baby could be anywhere.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. I mean, you've got
105 degrees there.
Yeah, I think it was 108 yesterday that they had, when they had the other day they had called 911 because someone had come up on the on their patio and taken something off the patio, and they called 911, and that they've been making complaints that there have been death threats and things along those lines against them. But the public reacts when you see parents that have a missing child who are not cooperating in trying to find
more than that. Like, I'll play a bit of their statement in just a moment. But no one was believing them. No one.
No.
Banana hammock. What is red rum? Spell it backwards. Just spell it backwards. That's all you got to do. Spell it backwards.
Spell it backwards. That's TI.
Yeah, exactly. So again, breaking news. This is just being released by the sheriff this morning, moments before we went on. We were scheduled to start this live stream a little bit later, but because of the breaking news, we jumped on early. Detectives from the Sheriff's Homicide Detail, Specialized Enforcement Division, SED, have arrested them for red rum, and you can see the word, it's spelled red rum backwards. So they've been charged. It's the most serious of all charges. Everything's at stake right now, and it's a mom and a dad, right?
Yep.
And one thing that a lot of people have been talking about from the beginning is mom's black eye.
Yep.
Right. So to me, it plays a couple different ways. Initially, her story of being jumped, right? So we all looked at the black eye and said, well, that black eye doesn't look fresh. It doesn't look like it's from yesterday.
Right.
Right. But I don't think she ever said she got the black eye from Ola man. However, this is a home involving a man, Jake, who's been convicted of violence in the home, reference to a different 10-week-old child. If you'll do it to a child, will you do it to a woman? Will you do it to another child? I think the answer there is very, very possible.
Right.
Very, very possible. Do you want to hear the story? Let me get that. Let me just dig that up. Again, we jumped on early here, so I'm going to be scrambling to find some of these pieces. But I think this is a good piece right here.
I mean, also the fact
asking you to help us find our son. He was abducted last night from Big Five.
Wow.
Somebody struck my wife while she was trying to change his diaper. And we just ask if anybody knows anything to please contact Ukaipa Police Department.
Don't hesitate, just call.
His name's Emmanuel.
Thank you.
He's 7 months. He's 7 months old.
Haven't been notified of any information yet by the authorities.
Bad, right? Like no one believes that. Do you believe that, Jonesy?
No, actually, that was pretty terrible acting right there. Often when I see these sort of cases on the news, I almost immediately will look at whoever I'm watching TV with and say they did it. If I see like signs like that, they don't sound believable at all.
Yeah. Well, they went to the Menendez school of calling in a red rum or calling in a situation.
Even they were better than that.
They were not. They were not. They were just as bad. Just as bad.
Well, yes, but it took a little longer to arrest them. Here, it's a week. It's a week and a day.
Let's face it.
A week and a half a day.
Whenever you've got a scenario like this, the parents are always the initial ones that you're going to be looking at. They're the immediate, persons of interest. When the story doesn't jive, then it is, you've got no doubt in your mind. There's nobody in the police investigation that is going forward on this that didn't have any thought of anything other than the fact that these two were involved somehow. Because the story doesn't make sense. You don't see people getting knocked out with one punch unless it's Mike Tyson that's going to be hitting you, okay? That is a person that could knock you out with one punch. I don't know if he can't do it anymore, but in the old days, he certainly could knock you out with one punch.
No, I think if he punched someone even today, he could knock someone out.
Well, it probably could, but the thing is this: the average person that is going to be involved in some sort of a scenario is hitting and then knocking her out so that she saw white, and then nobody sees a body laying there in the parking lot of Big Five. Big Five is crowded all the time. It's like what those stores, Caldors, the old Caldors, Target, all those
Caldors. You just said Caldors.
I did say Caldors.
How old is Al Wunsch, ladies?
Yeah, well, I didn't say two guys.
I think we had a Caldors near me as recently as 10 years ago or something like that.
Was it? Because I haven't seen a Caldors in
decades. There weren't very many.
No.
And there was Kmart, and there was Caldors, and then there was there's two guys. There was
PJ Corvettes.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
by the way,
those stores have people in
to
there.
Get happy. It's time to get funky. It's time for us to smile. 'Cause here comes McSpunky.
And McSpunky bringing just a quick intermezzo. as we have to dive deep into a horrific story today. McSpunky 66, thank you so much. Great to see you, Vin, Al, Jonesy, and the Mod Squad, and all you all. Thank you so much, McSpunky. We needed a little McSpunky this morning just to keep us, from getting too distressed in today's developments. And again, this picture right here is from this morning, moments after the arrest of Rebecca and Jake Haro, the parents of baby Emmanuel, who they reported missing last Thursday night. They claimed the child was abducted by a man who walked up to her from behind, said "Hola," and knocked her out cold and took the baby. Well, investigators not buying it. They said there were inconsistencies. Dad got a lawyer. Mom's going to need a lawyer now. She's under arrest. And this is the scene. They're also saying that they're continuing the search for baby Emmanuel. So they have not recovered the baby, but they have charged Red Rum, spell it backwards, for mom and dad in this case. And
So when you say search with that kind of charge, did they distinguish between a search for a rescue or a?
They're not saying rescue. They're saying
well, they obviously are working under the presumption that baby Emmanuel is no longer alive, and they have to have some evidence of that. I don't think that just being reported missing under a certain circumstance that you can prove is not true would be enough. It would be enough for a false reporting, which you could charge them with and take them into custody for a while you gather more evidence. But my guess is something from the phone. How about if there's no proof of life for a month, like no one has seen this baby for a month, say a relative or someone close to them has said that. Is that enough that the baby's missing for a month to charge Red Rum?
But even though this is like a serious case and involves a young infant and all that, wouldn't the same rules apply? Like you've got to be missing for a certain amount of time, before you can be declared dead.
But I don't think so with a baby though, because an adult can be self-sustaining, a baby can't.
Right.
A 7-month-old cannot sustain life by themselves.
Sure, but they could be in somebody else. They could be in somebody else's hands, though.
Yeah, but maybe they've determined that he's not.
There's something that came out. There's something that came out of the car, and the phones probably showed the locations, obviously, and things along those lines. But there's something that came out of that car. So, I mean, that's my opinion. That's based on what I'm seeing.
The locations is interesting because I think they're continuing to search at the home as well. So, but they could be searching for evidence, not necessarily.
Right.
So forensics is surely advanced enough that if you search a vehicle and you find evidence of a person having been in the vehicle, that forensics could tell, if they were deceased.
Yeah. So. Now, this is going to be kind of gruesome, but to unalive a baby is pretty easy, right? Because they're so fragile.
Correct.
So, when you think about things like blood evidence, wouldn't necessarily be necessary, but could be depending upon the nature of how this happened. Like, was it losing a temper? Shaking. Is it shaking? What is it? And what evidence would that leave behind?
I thought I saw something though about she had purchased a saw or something along those lines.
Was shopping for one.
Right. Okay. So maybe that's
yeah.
something.
But even so, a 7-month-old is so tiny. Like that's like. All right, this is so gruesomely bad. I'm sorry. But if it's like a Melanie McGuire situation where she has her husband and she needs to get rid of her husband in suitcases, she can't physically do that if he's in one piece.
Right.
But a 7-month-old, it's easy. This is gruesome. This is horrific, but this is the case. These are the facts. This is a difficult search. Let's switch the approach to this now, though. Okay, let's switch the approach. They're now under arrest. Is one of them going to talk first?
Yes,
Who's the weak one?
it'll be the wife.
The wife, right? Let me tell you, the wife could have a good story.
Yep,
I'm the victim of abuse.
that's exactly right.
He was a terror. He made me get in front of those cameras and say that.
Why do you think he lawyered up as quickly as he did?
Well,
And
I
left
was thinking
her
that as well.
and left her without a lawyer. I
And
mean,
why didn't she?
you know, I mean, the scenario there demonstrates to me that he knows that they're going to be looking at him a lot more carefully, especially with the prior conviction, especially with the fact that she had a black eye that was not fresh by any stretch of the imagination. And also the scenario with regards to the story and everything along those lines. She's knocked out, no lump on her head that I heard about. There's no hospitalization. There wasn't anything that was going on. You get knocked out, you've got a concussion.
Yeah, she refused medical treatment.
And she refused medical treatment, and she's not having any, not being looked at. I mean, that doesn't make any sense at all. But being punched in the eye by him, that doesn't surprise me in the least.
Proud Grizzly, thank you so much. Come on, squeeze out a tear. No tears, like dry sniffling. There was no legitimate tears from mom or dad. You watched the video. I've watched it a dozen times.
I mean,
Proud Grizzly also sporting the allegedly gear from the Vinnie Originale True Crime merch shop. So make sure you check that out. Thank you so much, Proud Grizzly. Go ahead, Al. I'm sorry.
Even the flyers that they had, were putting up. I mean, I remember you and I Monday night talking about that. It was just a bizarre way that they were even like trying to find this child.
Yeah, let me see if I can find that so we can show that to.
And let me say, he refers to Monday nights on Court TV, where you can find Al guesting at 8 p.m. Eastern time with Vinny.
Closing arguments. That's correct. Thank you.
Yeah, well, there's the flyer that he was holding. I got to get a better shot of it, but it says missing kid.
Yeah,
missing kid.
Did he?
Hey, missing kid over here.
Like who calls their 7-month-old baby a missing kid?
Yes.
Well, at one point he says we just changed his diaper.
Yeah, that was another big plus.
They also spoke in the past tense in part of one interview.
Oh, that's always key.
Yeah.
Missing kid.
That and they say referring to a person as an it. Kind of like removing life.
Yes. By the way, folks, we're live streaming on my Facebook page, my Twitch, my X, my YouTube, and on the Court TV YouTube channel. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. There's definitely a conflict now, right, between mom and dad. The interests of mom and dad are completely different. It's possible there could be a unified front here, but mom, if one of them provides the information that leads to the recovery of baby Emmanuel, that's the one who could get a deal. But the deal may just be we won't seek to put you onto the row, the deep end, right? That could be the deal you get. I don't know how much more of a deal you get.
Well,
but if you get life with parole, life without the possibility of parole in California now, we know that if you're a good inmate, you can apply for parole down the road like the Menendez brothers are doing.
Okay, but I do think that the cause of death is going to be the key with regards, because what if the story is, you know what?
Well, I don't think both of them did it, though. Both of them, it doesn't take two adults to red rum a child. So one of them did it, like physically did it. The other one is a co-conspirator in the cover-up.
I understand that. I understand that. But
allegedly,
what I'm saying is, until we can figure out the cause of death, because the argument could be, okay, good defense counsel could say, listen, the baby didn't wake up. They panicked because the father had a prior history, and that they both thought that they were going to be in trouble, and so they panicked and they made up the story, and that the child was abducted so that it wouldn't come back to them, because no one was going to believe that this kid just woke up, didn't wake up. That
Right,
there
like
was
a
something
SIDS
else
kid,
more.
right? Like
Right.
SIDS.
So, I mean, that right, SIDS. And so that might be, we'll have to wait to see what the scenario is, but that's certainly a plausible, alibi that they may be trying to explore.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head, Al. I think that's where the defense goes.
Yep, that's where I'd be going. That's exactly right. I mean, listen,
Right.
Kid, didn't wake up. We knew that I would be the first one that they were looking at, and
Right.
that there was nothing I could say that would prove that I was innocent. This child just died of sudden infant death syndrome, and that was it. And then we panicked, and I figured.
If that's your defense, you need to get that baby, because the only way you can prove sudden infant death syndrome or something like that is through an autopsy, and we're getting a little bit long in the game for that. By the way, I just got to go to a couple of comments here. Gringa L, thank you so much. Did anyone else get a vibe from Mom that she's scared of her husband? Did you get that vibe, Jonesy? I'll play a little more for you. Here you go. And that's not it. This is it.
I did not read that into it the first time.
They haven't told us nothing.
They said they don't have any major updates.
Do you guys plan on just doing a local search of your own?
We are
Yeah,
at,
we
at
have
4 o'clock here at Kaipa. I fell on the floor, and as soon as I got up, I couldn't find my son. I got him out of the car seat, and I laid him down so I could get his diapers ready. And somebody said, "Hola," and that's all I remember. And I saw white.
Okay, let me get back to us.
But let me just like you said about that it would be important for them to be able to find the baby for autopsy purposes with regards to SIDS. It is almost just as good if they don't find the body.
For the
Because
defense.
then you've got that defense, and there's no way to counter that.
Right. Thank you so much, Gringa L. A Dragonfly Lady 8031 says there's no DP in California. There is. It's still on the books and remains a legal sentence. Prosecutors can seek it. There's just a moratorium on the actual taking place of it that's been put in place by the governor, but the legislature has not taken it off the books. So it's still on the books, and it's still a tool that can be used by prosecutors in California. So it's partially right that, they're not really going through with it right now, but in new cases, it can be sought. All right, let's get to a few more comments here. We got a lot of people jumping in here. Bullhorn Betty here. Let's be honest. Anyone that had a black eye knows that was over a week old. They visited the store earlier in the month. We didn't buy the story, and neither did the investigators. Great job, law enforcement, from Bullhorn Betty. Thanks so much, Double B. And that they visited the store early this month. And for folks who don't know that story, it's that they went to the Big Five. Again, this is what people have reported speaking with workers inside, people on the ground out there. They went to the Big Five about a month earlier, and this is where you get into the timeline, which is important, asking Big Five if they had any surveillance cameras because someone broke into their car.
Whoa.
If they can get those people to testify at trial, which they likely would, and I'm sure law enforcement spoke to the same people that some of the citizen journalists have spoken to out there, then that's very incriminating, right? I mean, that's bad, Jonesy.
Absolutely, yeah.
That shows that. But what's also troubling about that is if it's like a month, that Emmanuel's gone already.
Well, I mean, doesn't it also beg the opportunity for prosecutors to ask, to inquire about this alleged car break-in, like a repair at a mechanic's? Or something?
And Jones, you jump on a great point here for prosecutors. Again, looking forward, right? Looking ahead, because
thank goodness, because I'm out of my element.
Yep. When you get inside the courtroom, The defense is going to attack prosecutors and investigators for not following all the leads. And especially in a case like this where they may never find baby Emmanuel, right? They may never find him. If you don't follow all the leads, so if you don't follow up on Ola Man, if you don't follow up on the spotting, someone said they saw the baby in Kern County. That's where Bakersfield is, in Kern County. Other tips, if they don't follow every tip of every alleged sighting of this child, the defense will seize on it. So hopefully they've learned the lesson of other law enforcement agencies who, yeah, they've got great evidence and they know who did it, but think about the way it plays inside of a courtroom when 12 people come in and hear everything for the first time. You've got to investigate leads, even though you know and you believe that mom and dad are responsible. Rhino Girl, thank you, Rhino Girl. Great news. Time for the truth. Absolutely. Let's go.
What does that move mean?
I might be yoga.
Oh, you're. I see. You're mimicking the photograph.
Yes,
I was admiring the photograph myself, but
yeah. I think it's yoga.
I'll get in trouble again.
Yeah, exactly. Let me just check in here. And all right. By the way, folks, we got a new member, new YouTube member over in the Court TV YouTube channel, Bev's Long Sigh. Congratulations and welcome. Yeah, I want to let you know, if you are not watching, or if you are watching on Court TV's YouTube channel, they have a membership program over there, which is fantastic. So make sure that you're subscribed and join as a member over there. And if you're over at Court TV, come on over to me, Vinnie Politan, Vinnie Politan 1, and make sure you subscribe to this channel. Yeah, here we go. We got a lot of comments. Everyone's talking. The breaking news is that mom and dad under arrest. It's been confirmed by the sheriff from San Bernardino County, who's been leading this investigation. It's well, this is why I want to say it's good news and it's bad news. Okay. Because I said this on my show the other night. I'm live on Court TV, by the way, every night from 8 to 10, 2 hours of live true crime. I said at the end of my 9 o'clock show the other night that this was a situation where an abduction would be the best case scenario, a child abduction, which is weird to say, right? That I was hoping that this was a child abduction, because that's the only scenario where I see there's a chance that baby Emmanuel is still alive. If he was abducted by someone and then maybe raised by someone else, baby Emmanuel would be alive, right?
Correct.
If not abducted, there's no chance. And obviously the sheriff agrees with us that baby Emmanuel is no longer alive. And this was not an abduction.
Right. It never made sense from the beginning. And that's, and kudos to law enforcement for doing what they did and taking it where they took it, and showing that you're not going to get away with it.
Yeah,
that's the key. I mean, it's just as I said, Emmanuel. I mean, then God with us. That's the Hebrew words that are in that name, and it's just such a sad ending to just a sweet little child.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's a brutal case, but it happened, right? So it happened, and now you've got to step in. The one troubling part of this is that it was somewhat predictable. So in 2018, the father Jake committed baby abuse. All right, I don't even call it child abuse. 10 weeks, that's baby abuse. The case lingered for 5 years, but finally pleaded guilty, got 180 days, and was put on probation in 2023.
Right, 4 years probation, 180 days work release. So
right, work
he
release.
Went out.
So
he slept at the jail, but worked during the day.
And to choose to bring life into this world with a man like that, that's on mom. Right. I understand love is love. You love, but you have to understand his history, and either she didn't know his history or she did know his history. If she knew his history and still chose to bring a child, anyone that would do anything to a 10-week-old. He had a story, though, and maybe she believed his story that he accidentally dropped the baby in the sink, and it was one of those sinks that has two sides to it, so there's like a barrier in the middle. You've seen those sinks, right? Not like the farmer's sink that's one big one, but it's got two sides to it.
Yep.
And dropped the baby, and that's how the baby got hurt. Obviously not the truth, and because there were other prior healing wounds that this baby had. So this was ongoing abuse, which is really sad and really troubling. Here's a question from Pani Kathy Discourse. Pani Kath Discourse. Can prosecutors bring in prior acts the daughter? Would that come in? I would say no.
No, because one is it would only come in if he testifies and says, I've never done anything to harm a child or anything along those lines.
Yeah, if he says Michael Jackson, I would never harm a child, right? If he testifies to something like that, or they bring in character evidence talking about what a great father he is.
Right.
Anything that would the door. Then the prosecution can bring it in to rebut it, but they can't bring it in their case in chief. The issue of his fathering has to be put in play first by the defense. So great question, though. That's a great question, because if you heard that, of course, there's no way you're going to find him not guilty at trial, right?
Right. Well, I mean, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it doesnn help. It does not help that you would be very sympathetic with regards to the position if you knew that he had abused a 10-week-old. Okay. I don't. The fact that he may have hit a spouse previously or something along those lines certainly doesn't come in to help you either with regards to feeling sympathetic to the person. But, you know, really you're supposed to be focusing on what evidence they have as to the crime that he's being tried for.
Yeah.
See, that surprises me, because in SA cases, doesn't it sometimes come in that a male may have had a similar situation with a female as he has by the accused in that case?
Yeah, take a look at the Weinstein case, and it comes back on appeal.
And it got overturned, right?
Oh,
so
right, okay.
It's on the borderline. If you don't have to, you shouldn't as a prosecutor, because it's very, very risky. And it's a judgment call by the judge. And sometimes judges make the wrong judgment call and are overturned by the appellate or the Supremes. So you got to be real careful with that stuff. And I wouldn't go near it in this case. By the way, thank you so much, CC. This is for the first baby, right, from 2018. Jake Haro searched how to feed a baby with broken ribs.
Gee. Oh, that is just horrific. Absolutely horrific.
Wow.
Right? That's who we're talking about. By the way, folks, just want to take a moment to let you know about my the true crime merch that we do have available. I'm wearing something right now. There's a lot of people have been asking about it, so I'll just get it out of the way right now. But what I wanted to provide as a world premiere today.
What?
I've got a world premiere today. Let me get to it 1 second. I got to find it. Like, we jumped on for the breaking news, so I'm not as organized as usual.
You know what? The breaking news, we need one of those cool noises they used to play on the news radio that we go do 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 do.
Yeah.
You know,
for breaking news. Absolutely. I don't think we've had it before.
No.
No, we haven't. We haven't, but we should have that now and just make up breaking news just so we can use the sound.
Well, you know, breaking news isn't what it used to be. I'll be watching the news now and they'll say breaking news, and it's really not a big deal. In the old days, breaking news was something big.
Yeah. Well, the biggest change with breaking news is that, like, 24-hour news stations provide breaking news, which is an oxymoron.
Yeah.
What are you saying? We interrupt the news to bring you news? Breaking news was invented when there was regular programming. So maybe you're watching Barnaby Jones or something.
Right.
And then they interrupt we interrupt your regularly scheduled program with breaking news. Like we're breaking into this program to bring you news. That's what breaking news is. But we've sort of forgotten that. And we have breaking news on networks that provide news all day. So it's not real, we interrupt the news to bring you news. But that's neither here nor there. We have for you, ladies and gentlemen, the new Vinnie Originale spot.
And a hoodie, a beach towel and a mug. A new design from Vinnie is better than a drug. True crime merch, you know he did it. True crime merch, mark the exhibit. True crime merch, we hate Casey. True crime merch from Vinnie Originale. Our tangent stuff is great, unlike any others. Buy it now, don't wait. Perfect for all you mothers. True crime merch, allegedly. True crime merch, stepped on a bee. True crime merch, it's not free. True crime merch from Vinnie Originale.
There you go. And thank you to all the models who have sent in pictures of themselves wearing the True Crime merch. Appreciate
Just
it.
in time for Crime Con.
If
Yeah.
it takes every penny we have to get that on like a commercial on TV.
Yeah.
Just out of the blue, True Crime merch comes on.
So I also wanted to mention, we're going to be at Crime Con, all three of us. So if you're going to be out there, find us, Creator Row. There's also a Court TV booth as well. So that's all happening. But back to the breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. And this is like big breaking news. This has been a big story for the past week. And now it's official that they're under arrest. Here's the announcement. Once again, how do I get this up there? Here we go. There we go.
It is.
So they've arrested Jake and Rebecca Haro at their residence for red rum. So it's the most serious of charges, and this is the latest image coming from the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department. Go ahead, Al. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say that this is as sad as it is that this child is no longer with us. At least we have an answer on this. There's nothing worse than when you see these pictures of these children and no one knows where they are and no one can find them and no one understands what's happened. And when you have an ending as tragic as this is, we now can move on with regards to making sure that the people that did this are punished.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing. It's now it's something. It's another thing that, like, when I do my day in history, this is something that we'll be bringing up, in the true crime history, a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, that happened on this day, and
Right.
that's important.
And that's extremely important in all of this. I know. I look at this and it's extremely troubling. It's extremely sad. It's extremely tragic. But I think you're right, Al, that we have some level of an answer. But the real answer, I think, comes when we find baby Emmanuel. And I think the only way we may get the actual truth of what happened is if mom flips. Mom has to flip. Mom has to provide, fill in the blanks, because investigators can only get what they can get, right? After the fact. Mom lived it, but investigators have to go back and look at it almost historically.
Civil war to civil rights and all the revolution fights. World War I and World War II. Al always knows who is who. It's this day in history. This day in history. History. Now let's listen to his story.
All right, folks, we'll start with the Rev War. As you know, it's 250 years since we started this little country of ours. And August 22nd, 1776, huge day in the Revolutionary War. The British Army under General William Howe began an amphibious landing on Long Island, initiating a major invasion of New York City that would lead to the Battle of Brooklyn 5 days later. The significance of the Battle of Brooklyn is that if it wasn't for the Maryland 400, which were 400 soldiers, actually a little bit less, but that's what they were called, under Lord Stirling, and the situation was so dire, Washington could have been captured. We could have lost the war on that day. And what ended up happening is that Mordecai Gist and Lord Stirling said to Washington, "We'll hold them off, you escape." And they went into battle knowing that most of them were not going to come back alive, and held enough time so that Washington could cross the Hudson River and escape through New Jersey.
Wow.
That was the turning point of the war. Of the 400, 256 were killed. Only 12 were not captured out of the ones that were remaining. Lord Stirling was captured. He was a prisoner of war, and Washington was able to get free. So when you think about your freedom and you think about the history of this country,
Absolutely.
And that little area in Brooklyn,
Al?
Long Island, yes?
Yeah, we got to keep it tight today. We got the breaking news.
That little area in Brooklyn is actually owned by Maryland. They deeded it over to the state of Maryland. All right. On true crime, it was on this day, okay, we had a situation with a individual who killed, Red Rum, the husband of his lover. But the interesting thing about it, and this is Fred Osterek. Fred Osterek was shot by his wife Dolly's secret lover, who had been living in their attic.
Wow.
This was in 1922. Living in the attic. She was an heiress, had married a very rich man, and in the houses that they had, she made sure each house had an attic so that her young lover could live there. Finally, he heard her being in an argument with her husband, and then ended up coming down and red rumming him in the kitchen. He was eventually convicted of that. Also on this day in 1922, famous Michael Collins of the IRA was ambushed and red rummed by Irish forces in the Irish Civil War. The penal colony in 1953, Devil's Island, is permanently closed. 1989, Huey Newton was ambushed, assassinated, and killed in a drug deal that went wrong, red rummed and dead to that. And then in 1485, the Battle of Bosworth Field, which any of Shakespeare's fans know, was Richard III. Richard III was the last British monarch to be killed or to be red rummed in battle. Okay. And that's the famous play, "Now is the winter of our discontent, made glorious summer by this son of yours."
Wow. All right. Day in history. Thank you, Al. So I want to get back to, where do I have it? Give me a moment here, because I have some video to show you from that I was grabbing. One moment.
Okay, so then just keeping on.
See, I thought the Battle of Brooklyn involved the sweat hogs.
Yeah, there you go. All right, here we go. So this is the big five, right? So you get back to this. This now becomes like no part of the investigation and search for baby Emmanuel, but this will still be extremely relevant to the trial, right? Do you see any scenario where, whether it's mom or dad or mom and dad at trial, that the defense isn't Ola man? Or do you think that they can pivot from Ola man, admit it was made up, and then go to accident and try to mitigate the exposure here into covering up a death, disposing of a corpus? Because I think this is what you were saying before, Al.
Yes.
So do you think this is the end of Ola Man in this case going forward?
Yes. I think Ola Man is going to be the we did this to try to cover our tracks because the child passed away in his sleep, and we needed to do something because we knew no one was going to believe us. And if history serves us well, no one believed them. So the scenario was, see, we told you, okay, because no one believed us, and certainly no one was going to believe us that our child would have just not woken up naturally. Okay,
Yeah.
because he just
It's amazing how a story about a 7-month-old can pivot, but it takes us back to the worst moment for me on the history of court TV, which was the verdict in the case of that woman down in Orlando. But that began with Zanny the nanny, right? Yes. So Ola Man is kind of like Zanny the nanny. Let me ask you this though, and by the way, Art Deco Rose, thank you so much. Oh yeah, they picked a place with no camera. If you take a look, Susan Smith blamed an African American, right?
That's correct. Yes.
So by saying the man said "Ola,"
right?
Are they blaming like a Mexican, an immigrant? Could this be looked at as some sort of a racial play by mom and dad?
That's the first thing I thought.
Well, it also lends itself to the area. Okay, I'm sure that there are a large number of Spanish-speaking individuals in the area of California. So I don't think that it necessarily.
Yeah, but if it's made up, like you had to make up, first of all, that they said something, and then you make up something that they said something in Spanish. Like right. I think that's bad.
Absolutely. Yeah. You remember the case in Massachusetts where the guys claimed that an African American had committed was it a red rum on a bridge?
Well, there was a carjacking that had gone wrong.
Right.
Cards who were shooting, and then he had said that it was that they were jumped. Okay, they were they had gotten lost. They were in a bad neighborhood, and then it turned out not being true. And then I believe he ended up jumping off the bridge himself at some point.
Right.
But you're right. I didn't even think of it from the standpoint of that they're throwing that out, that it's something that is, on people's minds today with regards to immigration and
all over the news. It just seemed it stuck out to me like that, pretty obvious. They were trying to cast blame.
They don't seem that smart.
No, they're not that bright.
And that's why I can't give it that kind of credit.
Well, on the flip side of that, though, is I don't think it's that smart to try to do that, to try to blame like a Latino or something to that effect because of things that are going on in the news. I don't think it's a very smart move, but it sounds like that's what they were up to me.
Yeah, and the thing is, she says she saw nothing, right? So they didn't take it to the next level that I saw this guy doing whatever. But that would be the only clue if this was an actual abduction, which it wasn't. So I think Ola Man does. Here's the question, right? So for prosecutors at trial, do they introduce Ola Man?
Well, Vin, I just want to say one thing. As you know, when we start our show, I always start with Ola Tanginistas. Do you think they were trying to make me
trying to frame Al? Maybe.
Yeah.
Could have been framing Al.
Oh, I wonder if I'm going to be called at the time of trial to see if I have an alibi, and I do. Trust
me. But do prosecutors make it a part of their case? I'm always
No, I don't think they. I think. Look, the thing is this: you don't ever want to have a situation as a prosecutor, as you know, Vinny, that where you've got too many people that could be pointing things at. I think you gloss over it from the standpoint of that from the moment that they came into our domain, they were lying. They were lying. They were throwing things out there that were not true. Inconsistencies, statements, things that made no sense. I leave it at that, and then see if the defense is stupid enough to try to play it in there.
Well, here's my concern always, and I've seen this, and it happened in the Zimmerman case, and it cost them the case.
Yeah.
Is where the suspect has a story. You know it's not true. You believe it's laughable, and you as a prosecutor put it in front of the jury. But now you've put in the defendant's story in front of the jury without the defendant testifying and being cross-examined.
Exactly
And
right.
people don't, and a lot of prosecutors don't think of it that way. I do, because I want to put them up on the witness stand. If they want to allege that Ola Man abducted this child, then you get up on the witness stand and you tell this jury about Ola Man. I'm not going to tell them. I'm not going to play the videos. I'm not going to talk about what I'm going to talk about is the proof of the red rum and the proof that ties it to mom and dad. But here's the problem. If it's a case little on some of that circumstantial evidence, then maybe you have to buttress your case by trying to prove their lie and their cover up. But I don't like doing that. If I'm going for red rum as my charge, I want to just put the evidence that they did it. And if they want to prove that there's an alternative theory, let them put that evidence in, or let them try to put that evidence in, because really the only way you get it in is by mom testifying. And if she's not going to testify, then I don't know. Let me ask you this.
Okay.
Let me give you, I'm throwing out scenarios of what could happen at trial, because that's kind of our area of expertise here. Jones, you worked at Court TV for a long, long time running the radio division over there. Al was with me, and I could show you the proof on Court TV when I used to, before I started dyeing my hair silver. That's how long ago it was, because I started doing this a few years ago. And if mom is a cooperating witness and she testifies about what really happened, does she get impeached by dad's lawyer with the Ola story?
No, because what she's going to say is that's what he told me to say. And if I didn't say it, I was going to be, I would be ending up the same place Emmanuel ended up.
But if they don't find Emmanuel, another potential defense, if mom cooperates, is going to be dad pointing the finger at mom.
Well, of course that's going to happen. Okay. But there's going to be, it's a question of who's the more sympathetic of the two. And obviously he's got a problem with the prior conviction. He's got a problem that he can't necessarily take the stand because of that. All right. And she's got the situation where she's the only, black mark against her is that she's the brother, her brother was a red rummer who set up a story that the victim committed suicide. Okay. It turned out not to be true. So you do have someone in the family that is diabolical enough that is able to set something up like that. So, does that, does the apple fall far from that gene pool? I think, honestly, I think what's going to end up happening, there will never be a trial in this matter. What's going to end up happening, they're going to turn her, she's going to end up pleading to some form of a manslaughter, and then they'll get him to go. And he's going to be out on something else, and they're never going to go to trial.
I mean, he almost took the life of another baby, so I can't see any deal for him other than no chance of ever getting out. By the way, over 4,100 live viewers right now on my Facebook, Twitch, X, and of course on my YouTube and the Court TV YouTube. What we need you to do, though, on three, everyone, if you're on YouTube, you need to hit the like button. If you're on Facebook, you got to hit the like, but also share it. Ready? On three. 1, 2, 3. Boom. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Bulldog Detective. Vinnie, I think there's a comma here.
Yes.
I don't think I remind her of Letitia Stout. Vinnie reminds me of Letitia Stout. No. Vinnie, comma. This reminds me of Letitia Stout and her made-up kidnapper excuse. Absolutely sounds like that. Thanks so much, Bulldog Detective.
We're operating under the assumption that he may be more guilty than she, and I understand why you're doing that.
Yes,
but the possibility does exist that it could have been the other way around.
Could have been. That's why it's a race to the prosecutor.
That's exactly right.
First one gets the deal. Show me the body.
and justice for all. Let's make a deal. Let's
Yeah.
make a deal.
But we don't know, and this is an important issue right here. Thanks so much, Tupac's wife. What's their proof of a red rum? That we don't know.
We're surmising that
But
it was.
we're surmising, and they have some. They're still searching for more evidence, and they're searching for baby Emmanuel out at the home. And they went in early this morning for the arrest.
You've got a car that was seized. Okay, carrion obviously has a odor that sticks around for a while, especially where there's 108 degrees out, and that could very well have been something that's with regards to his car. That is a remnant in there, and that there may have found any type of blood proof or any other type of DNA that will lead them to believe that. And then the dogs, they sniff that, they know something's been there, and that's probably what it is. I'm sure that they were trying to figure out what to do, and what do? You store it in the car, and then that carrion smell is just awful. Anyone who's ever gone through a autopsy, which unfortunately I've had to go through 3, it's just the most horrific experience that you'll ever have, and that smell doesn't get out of your nostrils forever.
Yeah. Mrs. Machete, she will flip by noon, and what is it, 10:30 out there right now? I think it's 10:30. We'll have the baby by the end of the day. The fresh black eye is all the evidence. Well, it depends where the baby is. If the baby was discarded somewhere, I hate to say it, there's coyotes and lots of things out in this area. If the baby was disposed of in a dumpster or something and it's a landfill search, that's not so easy. But if the baby is buried in a grave somewhere, then I agree that if she flips, that's the information she needs to give up. And it has to happen very quickly. But right now, the DA is involved as well. This is not going to be just investigators making the arrest. The DA is in on this now, because now is the time. The sooner you make the deal, the better the deal will be for you, because a better chance for investigators to recover the evidence they need. Because that case down in Orange County, Florida, they did not recover that child. So there was very little evidence. I thought there was some very persuasive evidence, like the duct tape on the baby's hair, like, my goodness gracious. But it's 105 degrees out there. The terrain is rough, and it could be each day, each moment, evidence is disappearing relative to trying to prove scientifically cause and manner of death in this case. You can prove it through testimony of someone who took part in it or witnessed it. But to scientifically back it up, the time is of the essence in all of that. Jericho 8, Vinny is famous. Would you agree, Jonesy?
Oh, absolutely.
There we go.
Do
Fantastic.
you get recognized when you go to the Piggly Wiggly?
I don't go to Piggly Wiggly.
I know you don't, but I like Piggly Wiggly.
Yeah.
They have pigs on their marquee.
On their marquee. But yes, sometimes. Oh, Al, you missed the news.
What, that you're famous? I heard it. Believe
And
me,
he gets recognized at the supermarket.
I put the call to the judge on pause just so I could hear that.
Yeah.
Vinny is world famous in New Jersey.
Do you get recognized at the deli counter or in the fruit aisle?
Well, yes, by one of the guy who's in charge of the vegetables.
Who goes like this? Next.
No. So every time I'm going to buy my avocados and stuff, we talk a little true crime for a few minutes.
Nice.
We catch up. Maureen 143. They both planned it together. Okay, this is a different case that Maureen is laying out there. This isn't a case of like a shaking baby or, a moment of rage. This is a premeditated red rum. I don't know if I've ever covered a case involving a baby where it's that. They may have planned the cover up. Okay, the cover up. The actual red rum would be difficult, right?
I think that I've never seen one where not of an infant. We got the Daybell situation, but that was older children. But of an infant, no. It's usually the cover up, though, that they're both complicit.
Right. All right. I'm just gonna, I keep going back. I'm going to go back on just to make sure that we're not getting any more word from San Bernardino. Any updates? Let me see if there's an update. Nope. And investigators will continue their search for 7-month-old Emmanuel, because I know a lot of people just tuning in. Maybe they found the baby. They have not announced that, and they say they're continuing to search for Emmanuel.
They mentioned, that the child was cross-eyed. Okay. Was there
Right.
any other health issues with regards to the child? Developmental issues or anything along those lines. I mean, I'm curious on that because you see certain pictures of the child, and that's the first thing that came to my mind. And that is obviously a very, very difficult situation for any family to be in, and a very, very costly and expensive situation to be in. And I'm wondering if that is going to be part of any defense that comes down the line. Because the child, I mean, in the pictures that I'm seeing, looks like there may be
something else prior.
There's a developmental issue on that.
Yeah. And how much was this baby taken to the doctor? Was the baby always cross-eyed? Was the baby, I think but it's going to be difficult to diagnose the baby because the baby's gone. Like, what exactly was going on with the baby, unless there are medical records and they were taking the baby to the doctor. And, first 7 months, you go several times.
But the baby was born in a hospital, so and they give testing at the hospital, so there's
you have that as a starting,
right.
But you don't have the subsequent diagnosis, right?
That's
You'll have images and observations of lay people, but I don't know if a doctor, but we'll see. Tupac's wife is back talking about the smell in Casey's car, right? So they did seize one of the vehicles. They were seen, and as a matter of fact, Matt Johnson from Court TV saw them in their driveway getting out of another vehicle, a red car. So I don't know what the status is there, but I do have something to tell you. If that smell did exist there, I've had a recent situation like that where I unfortunately left in the trunk some of Zuko's frozen dog food.
Oh.
And it spilled and leaked, and it was.
Ooh.
I thought I was going to have to sell my car, so I tore apart.
There's a Seinfeld episode.
Yeah, there is.
That wasn't dog food, though.
It wasn't dog food, but the smell seeped into the cabin of my vehicle, right? So it was pungent. It was real. At first, I drowned it out with coffee grinds, right? And that was just covering it so I could drive back and forth to work. Then when I had a day, I tore apart my trunk and I found where it had pooled underneath the spare tire. So I cleaned that vigorously and then brought it to the dealer. And I said, what do you do for cars? Like, if you take in a used car from a smoker, do you use the ozone machine or something? The guy had no idea what I was talking about, the service guy. He called the used car department. He said, oh yeah, they do that. So I left my car there overnight. They ozoned it and they zapped the smell for the most part out of the car. I can smell a little bit in the trunk, but there is a way to get rid of that smell. But you've got to get the source fully cleaned first. And then the challenge is anything that soaks in the smell. And in the Casey case, everyone smelled it in the trunk. Everyone. This case, I don't know if there was a smell, but it was seized. And his lawyer said on Ashley Banfield's show that the car was seized that night. But we don't know what vehicle is relevant to all of this. Like, it could be Mom's, it could be the other vehicle, because we don't know when baby Emmanuel, something happened to baby Emmanuel. We don't know which vehicle baby Emmanuel was kept in. The whole Big Five story is a diversion. Like, that's not the focal point of the investigation. So if they have another vehicle, that needs to be seized. Also to see if there's any remnants of biological material that would be indicative of a child who has passed away or had harm done to him.
Yeah, that's accurate. But I mean, the situation is, if there's a 2-car family, if there was removal of remains in Dad's car, then it would make sense to have the incident in mom's car and, hope that they never look at dad's car, which is, I mean, kind of foolish. But I mean, like, once again, we're not dealing with rocket scientists here, obviously. So.
And by the way, Gen X pointing out that Vinny shops at Publix.
I knew that, but I like Piggly Wiggly.
Yeah, we don't have. There may be some. I've seen them in Florida when I'm down there. I haven't seen any close to us in the part of Georgia.
They were in the Carolinas. In fact, in Charleston, when you take a tour, they show you the founder of Piggly Wiggly's mansion.
It started in North Carolina and then moved. So I'm sure they exist in Georgia.
He had pig gargoyles on his, the entrance to his mansion on the water there.
Gotcha. All right. One moment. Just here we go.
Order in the chat. Order in the chat. Don't dare attack. We've got order in this chat. The Mod Squad is on the job, helping us to keep it clean. The Mod Squad is on the job, always so nice and never mean.
Yes, a big thank you to Gen X, Frankie Figs, Jennifer Soubey, Ashley Bouchard jumping on early today. And they keep ordering the chat. The chat is on fire today. Over 4,700 folks on the live stream right now. Streaming on Facebook, Twitch, X, and YouTube. My YouTube, Vinnie Politan 1. Please subscribe and like. And, of course, the Court TV YouTube. And Court TV does have the membership program. So make sure you check that out. In the meantime, Art Deco Rose, thank you so much. They must have enough evidence for the DA to let them charge, right? So let's talk about the process here, right? So you've got, in our criminal justice system, you have the DAs who oversee the prosecution, but sometimes in some jurisdictions, the DA is also overseeing the investigation and working hand in hand with the sheriff or with the police chief or with whoever else is heading this up. So the sheriff is heading it up. The sheriff, I think, put down the charges, but the sheriff isn't going to do so without coordinating with the DA, I don't think.
Not at all. Have to. Any type of case like that, any type of case where you have a situation, the prosecutor's office, DA's office have sections, major crime unit, SVU unit, they have, white crime unit. And there is a person that is working with every department, and they are on the line with them immediately. And generally, prosecutors or district attorneys, assistant district attorneys, or assistant prosecutors are on the scene, and they're coming down there, and they are overseeing everything. And a case that has a lot of publicity and that is something along these lines, when you're seeking out and trying to find a missing child, the head honcho generally gets involved and then starts shouting down as to what needs to be done, and then they come to the conclusion that they have enough to charge, and then they go forward on it. So that's what's happened here. That's what happens in almost every major criminal incident.
Yeah, absolutely. As the case moves forward now, and you try to get some sense of, okay, how is this going to play out? Really, the cards are in the hands now of these two defendants and their representation. We know that he already has representation because he had a prior case. So, he's been in the system already and was on probation. That's number one. Number two, does she have someone yet, or is she going to have to be brought into court and given an attorney? So she may not have representation yet. So that may slow down her ability to make some sort of a deal and flip. Because when we watch Law and Order, we see that the attorneys always walk in the middle of an interrogation. It doesn't happen like that in the real world.
No, very rarely does it happen. I mean, unless you've got the money to be able to do that. And that's not usually, to get the public defender, you have to apply. So, I mean, an application has to be filled out. Then they have to take a look at it and say, yes, you qualify, you don't qualify. Under these circumstances, I'm assuming she would qualify for the public defender, and they will have one assigned, but they're not assigned immediately. All right. But if I'm not mistaken, if I remember watching the husband's attorney saying that he was going to speak with her with regards to potential representation, something along those lines. Obviously, he cannot represent both of them.
No, he can't. That is a per se, like, total conflict of interest. I don't think I'm going to see a unified front on this one. I just don't.
No, there's no way. There's no way. It makes no sense from a legal standpoint, to do that. You've got the sympathetic individual in this case is the woman with the black eye.
Right.
And you've got a prior conviction of child abuse of a 10-week-old. I mean, there's no way it's going to be a united front.
So let me get to this. I got another image I want to show folks because this is an interesting image I want to show you. I'm just, again, breaking news today, so not as organized as usual. But do you recognize this couple?
I do not.
No. So someone is saying that this reminds them. Let me see. Where is it? Of a case out of San Antonio. And that was a case involving this couple. Now, the father, 1,000% innocent. They had a baby together. Then they split up and the baby disappeared, baby Gabriel. And she had a very specific story about what happened to that baby. Yet she is a free woman today because they never found the baby. They never found the baby. So there were charges that she was convicted of, but not red rum. And she is free today. I saw some folks posting about San Antonio. That's the case I remember out of San Antonio. There may very well be another one. But for those of you just joining us, thanks for joining us live. Big breaking news today. Over 5,000 viewers watching the live stream right now. The big news is that the parents, the Ola mom and dad, Jake and Rebecca Haro, under arrest, charged with red rum. But authorities have said they have not yet found the missing baby Emmanuel. So no report that Emmanuel has been found yet. And it looks like the San Bernardino sheriff, they're working with other folks, but are taking the lead in all of this. And again, I'll put this back up. Whatever you want to read into this picture, I'll make it a little bit larger so everybody can see it. This was the scene. So you can see the level of force that was brought to make the arrests this morning, but they have stayed on the property and are now, I see one vehicle parked in the yard there. But if you look at the property, it's pretty large.
Yep.
But if you look at the area, if you have not just days, but perhaps weeks to dispose of a 7-month-old, it may be impossible to find. This case also reminding many people of the Cal City toddlers, 2 young boys who were reported missing, and they were adoptive parents. Those parents have been convicted. Those boys were never found. And the real problem there was the passage of time. They unalived the boys. It was during COVID. So you had it was COVID and it was California. So everybody was inside. So they were able to do whatever they did. And then they didn't report the children missing for 3 months afterwards. Like, I want to know the last photo. What is the last photo of baby Emmanuel? What is the date and timestamp of the last photo? When is the last time anyone other than mom or dad saw this baby? When is the last time? And if there's a grandmother in the mix, because I've seen her walking around here, what does she have to say about all this? Yeah. When is the last time you saw your grandson? Now, don't forget the whole story. If they stick with the story, again, folks, if they stick with it, I'm with Al. I don't think the story ends up at trial, the Ola story. But they claim they're at this football practice / game. Lots of parents there. Did anyone see the baby? Did anyone connected or related? see the baby. How about the other kids? Because there was another child involved here. What can the children say? I wonder if can you get access to interview the children if the parents to underage minor children if the parents are under arrest? That's kind of murky because usually you need the permission of the parents. But what if
Well, somebody will be named, in charge of the child, right? Wouldn't they be able to give the permission?
Yeah. Yeah, you'll have to get someone appointed as their representative, and that person would have to grant permission for the interview.
And that's a harsh.
That's harsh. That's harsh. But you talk about who's in the house, who's actually living in the house, who can give us some insight into what was happening inside there. So
as I'm running her story through my mind, and the fact that she's like, I stopped the car. Oh, and then I knew that I had to change the diaper. Why wouldn't you change it in the store? I mean, they have children changing stations and things along those lines. It was such an emergency on a child that size.
Al, you are right on there because every bathroom, especially in a place like Big Five, is going to have a changing table, a changing station for you. It's not a big deal. It's so ordinary.
It's so is it a child that size? It was such a catastrophe emergency that, oh my God, I got a whiff of it. I had to take care of this immediately. I mean, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I mean, it's not like you have an adult there or something along those lines, or a larger child. I mean, there's a baby that small. It's not going to be that overwhelming that you couldn't take the child inside and spread out everything on there. I mean, I know those changing stations can be a little disgusting, but that's what you have wipes for, and that's what you have mats for. And you put the mat down, you put the child on the mat, and then you change it inside in air conditioning as opposed to 108 degrees. Okay, I mean, the
backseat of a car.
Right,
I've done it. I've done it in the backseat of the car, but it's been when I'm like at a game,
right,
or somewhere where they're, I'm not like in the parking lot of a Big Five. Margaret Lyon says they're searching the garage right now.
Okay. I don't think they're going to be. I don't think they're going to find. I think they may find remnants of things, but I don't think they're going to find the child there. Because if you are going to be doing something with regards to a saw, that would be the area.
So Julie Botero referencing a fire that took place. What if baby Emmanuel was in that abandoned trailer that was suspiciously set on fire? What I'll say there is I don't know if the fire is related, but there was a fire. But the fire was just the other day.
Right.
Like what happened to baby Emmanuel was not just the other day. It was a while ago. And I think that is
and that also
kind of takes that out of play. And I think they have a suspect for the arson there that might be unrelated to this.
And that
but if it can be tied, they'll tie together very quickly.
That could very easily also be one of those red herrings that you throw out there, so that makes it look like, well, they were the target of something. I mean, I don't think the fire had anything to do with any of this.
Yeah. So are you guys looking at me backwards, or does this say?
No, I see allegedly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure, because when I look at it, and on my screen, it's
well, you're not always. It's not always so well framed as it is when you
I got you. Okay.
Set up like that. So that's why.
No, it's plain and clear.
All right. And Shelby, you can go to the Vinnie Originale True Crime Merch Shop. The mods will post the link there if you want to get one. It comes in all different colors, by the way. Let's see. Geneva J says that cadaver dogs are hitting on the back porch. So there's probably some live streamers there. There's probably someone with a drone up in the air, I'm sure. I know SF, I think it's Steve Fisher, I think is his name, investigates is out there as well. So we're getting some good news here. We're getting close to the time that we have to wrap this up, folks. I got to get ready for my shows tonight. 8 o'clock, closing arguments with Vinnie Politan. 9 o'clock, Vinnie Politan investigates. Obviously, 3 big stories we're covering today. One, and I thought we were going to talk about this today, the Menendez brothers parole hearing. Eric was denied a recommendation of parole. We'll see what happens with Lyle, but Lyle, I think, is the bad boy of the two.
Yeah.
So I don't expect him to get it. We're also covering the beginning of the trial of Donna Adelson. Donna Adelson, the matriarch of the Adelson family, charged in the murder of Red Rum for hire of the law professor Dan Markell. That began today, and obviously the arrest here. Matt Johnson is out in California, and will have the latest for us in what's happening with the arrest of Jake and Rebecca Haro. So that's what I'm up to. Al, where can folks find you?
Well, every Monday night, Vin, I'm with you on Court TV. Okay, closing arguments, 8 to 9. Tonight, I will be at the Jets versus the Philadelphia Eagle preseason game. And we're getting ready for CrimeCon. So, please make sure you guys, that are down there, come over and tell them that, Vinny, Al, and Jonesy sent you. And we'll be very happy to hang out with you. And please come, because we're very lonely and we don't want to be by ourselves. Please come by. But other than that, hasta la vista, Tanginistas.
There we go. Angela Sparks, thank you so much. And Angela Sparks, again, big response team, maybe seconds of victim evidence. It looks like they're getting some hits. They might have some evidence as we speak. So we're going to have to jump off here in just a moment. Thank you so much, Angela Sparks, for the big updates. Appreciated. Jonesy, where can folks find the radio legend?
Well, I'm up and down the AM FM dial. The best way to find out where and how to listen is to go to the website glennjones.net. Glenn with one N, like mommy intended it to be.
Fantastic. And again, I'll see you 2 hours of live true crime. Vinnie Politan investigates. Thank you, everyone who joined the live stream today. Big numbers today. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Thanks to Court TV for the simulcast. I'll see you at 8 o'clock tonight on Court TV. Again, I'm in a position where I didn't have time to prepare because of the breaking news nature of today's live stream, which was, sort of expected, but not expected. I didn't think it was going to be that quick, the arrest. I thought they'd have to find a little more evidence, but apparently they had enough. And now there's a lot of activity over at the home. And 1 second.
Hamina.
And we are ready. Say goodnight, Jonesy.
Good night, Jonesy.
Somebody say podcast. Tangent. Podcast. This is the Tangent Podcast. Good night, everyone. Good night. Thank you for all your support. We are the Tangent True Crime Podcast. We'll see all of you